to remember that we in Northampton inhabit unceded land of the Pecumtuck and Nipmuc peoples. Our values and principles remind us to acknowledge our responsibility to face all the painful legacies of dispossession and systemic racism that are part of our collective history, even as we affirm and celebrate the legacies that inspire us. We are here to support and celebrate one another and to renew ourselves with hope and gratitude and new resolve. If you are new or returning after a time away, welcome. We're very glad you're here. Please feel free to fill out a welcome card. Doing that allows us to put you on our email contact list. There is a link to the card in the chat. We ask that you remain muted throughout the service and turn off your videos except during the greeting in order to help the technology work as smoothly as possible. We hope you'll stay for social hour afterwards. It's a great way to engage in meaningful conversations with people you might not otherwise have met.
We come bound by the threads of a dream of walking together side by side, none of us above or below, less or more or forgotten, a dream of kindness and connection that softens and turns us toward one another with tenderness, a dream of courage and commitment that will enable us to stay the course. May the threads of this dream weave us together and never let us go until its promise is made real. And now please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words to accompany lighting our chalice as David lights it for us. I think we need the next slide. We'll get there. Oops. Where everybody's doing 3 jobs at once. Here we are. May this flame, symbol and source of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage in this time of hoping and unknowing.
Good morning, everyone. Our story today is called Dreamers by Yuyi Morales. And it's a true story. It's her tale of coming to the United States from Mexico with her son and the dreams that she had once she got here and how she learned to live her dreams while she was here. I dreamed of you, then you appeared. Together we became resplendent life, you and I. Amor, love, amor. One day we bundled gifts in our backpacks and crossed a bridge outstretched like the universe. Adios, corazón. And when we made it to the other side, thirsty, in awe, unable to go back, we became immigrants. Migrantes, you and I. The sky and the land welcomed us in words, unlike those of our ancestors. Give thanks. There were so many things we didn't know. Unable to understand and afraid to speak, we made lots of mistakes. And hopefully you can see they took a nice little swim in a public water fountain. Looks like that was not allowed. You and I became caminantes, thousands and thousands of steps we took around this land until the day we found See if you can recognize this place. Anybody want to shout out what they found in their travels? Can you tell what it is? Library, one of my favorite places. A place we had never seen before. Suspicious, improbable, unbelievable, surprising, unimaginable. Where we didn't need to speak, we only needed to trust, and we did. Books became our language. Books became our home. Books became our lives. We learned to read, to speak, to write, and to make our voices heard. Someday we will become something we haven't even yet imagined. But right now, we are stories. We are two languages. We are lucha. We are resilience. We are hope. We are dreamers, soñadores of the world. We are love, amor, love. And as you maybe guessed, that inspired her to become a children's book illustrator.
And now we'll sing together hymn number 151, I Wish I Knew How. your masks off and everybody being able to sing together. One day that will happen. Now, it's time for us to greet one another. So turn around and say hello to the people in the hall, and those of you on screen, say hello to each other. You can turn on gallery view and then we'll get to see you. Oh, that's so wonderful. If anybody wants to just come up and wave in a camera, you can do that too. There's one there, there's one there. Feel free to just say, hello, hello. Oh, that's a good idea. If anybody doesn't, yay, okay, great. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Jess. Go say hi. Yeah, go say hi. Hi. Make sure you can see yourself. Oh, that's great. Hello. Hello, hello. All right. Oh, Bob, I thought you were going to wave. Just getting a better seat. So wonderful to see you all. And now I guess it's time for everyone gets to go outside to go, and we will sing you out. The words are on the screen. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. And now it's time for us to say thank you and goodbye to Lisa. So we're going to start with a video that Arita recorded. Arita Kokhtaranova, here she is. She was our sanctuary guest for 3 years.
Hi everyone. I apologize for not being here in person, but I had to work today. So here's my recording. I wrote a few speeches throughout the last 3 years, but this one is very hard. Because while I wish the best for Lisa, I am also very heartbroken about her departure. Lisa, I want you to know that you are the reason that I made it through many tough times, many tough days, decisions, and choices. You are an amazing human who deeply touched my heart. You always think of others and put everything you can into helping that person or situation. I don't think there is another Lisa because of how dedicated and devoted you are. You helped me on the daily and never showed that it was too much or too overwhelming. I learned a lot from you about how to tackle certain tasks and problems, and I'm proud to call you my friend. You are very smart and kind, and I hope we stay friends. I wouldn't want you to leave the society. No one would. You are forever in our hearts. I do wish the best of luck for you in Maine and hope you come visit. Sending you hugs and my love. And I want you to know that there is not enough words in this world to thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
And that was recorded in our kitchen downstairs where Arita is now working very hard making her pierogies, and she couldn't be here today because she's at the East Hampton Farmers Market selling them today. So Lisa, can you come up, please? And Dave and Ed also. Now Lori has some words to share. I'm going to change this so you can see yourself.
First time taking mask off in the Great Hall in a couple of years. Okay. Over the past 11 years, Lisa has become as much a part of our congregation, I believe, as anyone who ever signed the membership book. She's played a key role in all aspects of our congregational life, from website management to scheduling building use to working with the board and providing invaluable staff support to coordinating council, which includes attending all of its meetings. She has represented our society to the wider community. She's been instrumental in the auction and essential to our sanctuary work, which spanned 4 years. I even heard First Church, where Lucio stayed, was envious of us because we had Lisa. Lisa's work has both been above and beyond, and also in many ways invisible. That bit about being invisible is probably what prompted our treasurer, Dave Nelson, to say, "I'm quaking in my boots right now," when I called him this week. As treasurer, he worked closely with Lisa, relying on her regularly to give him information he needed. I'll say no rush on this, maybe next week, and it'll be there later in the day. In keeping with the books, Lisa and David handled different areas, but always checked each other's numbers. If there's a big difference, 9 times out of 10, she's right. She's just so good at what she does, he told me. Nothing phases her. She's been a valued partner for every group and committee I've been part of: stewardship, sanctuary, safe relations, and more. It seems like her most frequent response to a request for help has been "no problem" or "done," is what Craig Dreesen said when I reached out to him. "It's endless," is how John Sass started our conversation. Her efficiency is legendary. John describes how the stewardship team, needing to send out mass mailings, would rely on Lisa to prepare the supplies. If they were mailing out 220 appeals, there would be precisely 220 letters, 220 envelopes, 220 stamps. It made our life easy, he said. It was just a joy. The night I talked to Kathy Lilly, she started out by saying that when she told her husband, Bill Whitehill, what she needed to talk to me about, he responded that there is one word that best describes Lisa. And before he said it, I thought it, Kathy said. That word, unflappable. Lisa was deeply involved in the auction, from the initial planning phase to the late night cashing out. She's there until the last person is gone, is how Kathy put it. She doesn't seem to have any ego involved. She just does whatever has to be done to make the job work. Kathy Brown, who's filled many roles in our society over the years, including board president, planning partner church visits, sanctuary volunteer, leader on the coordinating council, I can't even name them all. She said Lisa was integral to everything she did. She's professional, such a warm and loving person, Kathy said. Compassionate, as well as very helpful and so efficient. With Lisa, it seemed no job was too big, and equally telling, no job was too small. When Kathy was asked to clean out the kitchen cupboards recently, she planned to spend 2 days on the project, but without being asked, Lisa showed up to help and refused to not help when Kathy said she could do it alone. And the two of them got the job done in 1 day. It can't be understated how crucial a role Lisa played after we became a sanctuary congregation. We took that vote in 2017. Sanctuary team member Nancy Sardison recalled a night very early on, before we had even met Irita, when we were discussing the fact that we had no shower if someone were to enter sanctuary. This seemed to be an insurmountable problem. We spent a lot of time discussing this. Lisa's response was, "Just rip out a stall and put it in there. No big deal," remembers Nancy. I knew we were in good shape when Lisa said that. She's a great systems thinker, which came in handy when we were creating systems that would smoothly harness volunteer energy to keep a family of 5 safe and fed and cared for in our basement 24/7. I got to the point where I thought, why are we even talking about this? Just ask Lisa, Nancy said. Lisa was the glue that held it all together, and she did it with the same sense of purpose we all had. She was there on April 6th, 2018, that dizzying Friday night when a few of us welcomed Irita, Jasmine, Jillian, and Jaden into the basement, which must have been scary for those girls and for Jaden. She was at home and so comfortable with the girls, Christine Sass remembers. They just jumped up into her arms. Our team gave Arita and the children some space, alone in their room, of course. And at some point, everyone but the accompaniment volunteer, who I think was Nancy that night, headed out. As Lisa was preparing to leave, she said, "Well, I have to go say goodbye to the girls." It wasn't just a job, Christine said. If this were a newspaper article and I was writing the headline, it would be something along the lines of, "Not just a job for departing USNF administrator," but there would be a subhead. It would read, "Britland leaves brokenhearted congregation in her wake."
Good morning. My name is Ed Olmsted. I'm the Society's Vice President. Lisa, on behalf of the board and the entire congregation, I want to thank you for your years of outstanding dedication and service, and for the times, notably during Sanctuary and COVID, that you've gone the extra mile for us all. We have a gift from the congregation for you.
Yeah.
This is a woodcut of Mount Tom made by local artist Nancy Haver, who also made the woodcut of the Society building, which was on the wall of the office for many years and is now in the parlor. We hope it reminds you of your time here. We also have a monetary gift that came from many, many of us. We wish you all the best and send you off with our gratitude and love.
Thank you, everyone, for kind words, the love. It's going to be very hard for me to move on from here. I hope I've left. Anyways, let me start that again. I always approach anything I do with the goal of leaving it better than when I found it. And I hope I've done that here. But for doing this congregation, I'm leaving a better person. For the staff that I've worked with over the years, I'm leaving a better person. And for working with this woman for the past 11 years, I'm leaving a much, much better person. So thank you, everybody. I will miss you all. And if you're ever in my neck of the woods in Maine, look me up. I'd be glad to welcome you into our home whenever we find it. So thank you very much.
And now we have a song for her.
Occasion. This is what's often called an old Irish blessing. The words are, "May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be ever at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of her hand. This is a setting by the former interim music director here, Dana Mabin.
May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be ever at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of her hand, in the palm of her hand.
Lori did that. Now we have the Social Justice Minute with Bill. Do we have Bill? There he is.
I'm Bill Diamond from the Climate Action Group. This is the Social Justice Minute, recognizing that our faith calls us powerfully to action on social justice and the environment. Our second principle directs us toward justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. It's why we don't support colonialism. We don't, and I don't, think about colonialism much. But it's difficult to eat your chocolate if you know it was harvested by child slaves. Your Nike shoes feel a little less comfortable if you know Nike profits from the prison industrial system. These are colonialism, and we don't like to balance our lifestyle on other people's suffering. Now, think about intergenerational colonialism and intergenerational justice. Because of climate change, your lifestyle and mine actually colonize people living in 20 or 50 years. We balance our lifestyle on the terrible suffering of these future people we will never know. Do individual actions matter? Of course, if we can inspire people to come along with us. Political advocacy at every level matters if we can do it together. Our Climate Action Group is developing a number of ways, including a cool game, to work on this as a congregation. Please play and work with us. Thank you.
Sounds like something we're going to hear more about. Our first reading is by the physicist Alan Lightman, and it's from his book, Searching for Stars on an Island in Maine. And it comes from a chapter that's called Longing for Absolutes in a Relative World. My story concerns a particular summer night in the wee hours when I had just rounded the south end of the island and was carefully motoring toward my dock. No one was out on the water but me. It was a moonless night. It was a moonless night and quiet. The only sound I could hear was the soft churning of the engine of my boat. Far from the distracting lights of the mainland, the sky vibrated with stars. Taking a chance, I turned off my running lights. It got even darker. And then I turned off my engine. I lay down in the boat and looked up. A very dark night sky seen from the ocean is a mystical experience. After a few minutes, my world had dissolved into that star-lettered sky. The boat disappeared, my body disappeared. I found myself falling into infinity and felt an overwhelming connection to the stars. The vast expanse of time extending from the far distant past, long before I was born, and then into the far distant future, long after I will die, seemed pressed to a dot. I felt connected not only to the stars, but to all of nature and the entire cosmos. And I felt a merging of something far larger than myself. A grand and eternal unity, a hint of something absolute. After a time, I sat up and started the engine again. I had no idea how long I'd been lying there, just looking up. Our generosity makes everything we do possible, and it helps us support organizations and movements in the greater community. Half the proceeds of each of our week's offerings support the Society's operating budget, and the other half support organizations and causes outside of our walls. So anybody attending the Coordinating Council meeting on October 4th, that's a week from tomorrow, we'll be choosing organizations for us to support between now and the end of the calendar year. And anyone is welcome to attend the meeting. Anyone is also welcome to nominate an organization for us to support. And what we try to do is we try to balance support of local concerns and organizations with organizations that have a wider range. So you can see the Sunday Times, which came on Friday, for more information, or you're welcome to contact Steve Kramer, who's council co-moderator, or Jessica, or me, if you have questions or want to submit the name of an organization. And now, Lori is going to put links to where we can make our weekly donations in the chat, and we'll listen to our offertory music. Our meditation was written by Teresa DeSoto, who's a UU minister now serving in Oakland, California. She begins with a quote from Georgia O'Keeffe. "We haven't found enough dreams. We haven't dreamed enough." The world makes many demands on your time, your skin, your heart, until you are left gasping and wondering if you will ever do enough, have enough, be enough. Stop your counting, measuring, and checking. You are enough. So much more than enough, made from fragments of the galaxy. You do measure up. And to recover from the doubt pressed upon you, the antidote for doubt is dreaming. All the dreams that call to you, lime green and frosting pink dreams, the other soft and tender dreams that run blue to gray, sky indistinguishable from lulling sea. The dreams that seem impossible, listen, that's their nature. If they had already happened, then they would be realities, solid and smooth, like the round bone home of an unbroken egg. Be brave enough to name your dream, nurture it, and allow the rhythm of your breath to bring your dreams to life. That is the Lake Isle of Innisfree, that island in the background. And our poem, our reading is Yeats's poem, The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now and go to Innisfree and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honeybee and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now for always, night and day. I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's gray, I hear it in the deep heart's core. Now please join in singing. If you're not here, join in singing Winds Be Still. If you are here, you can hum quietly. What do you long for or dream about? I think right now our longing and dreaming may be circumscribed, limited by the unrelenting reality that the COVID pandemic is still so very much with us. Be brave enough to name your dream, Teresa de Soto wrote. It doesn't take a lot of bravery to name a dream of a time when we can take off our masks and stop worrying about when our children and grandchildren can be vaccinated. A time when all who are able to be in this great hall can gather together and when we can sing as one. And then there are dreams beyond a time when the pandemic no longer colors our daily lives. A dream of a better future for our planet, for greater compassion and civility in public discourse. Or our more personal and private dreams. Nurture your dreams, Teresa says. Allow the rhythm of your breath to bring them to life. So we need time and we need space, even now, especially now in our lives, for dreams, places where dreaming and longing and renewal can happen. And Yeats in that poem imagines a cabin he will build for himself on Innisfree, which is an uninhabited island in Lough Gill in Sligo County in Ireland. It's a place miles apart from the gray pavements of Dublin, from the demands of the world. The summer I turned 10, I went to an old-fashioned girls' camp on a small New Hampshire lake. And I have very fond memories of that camp, despite the fact that there was a surprising amount of what happened there that I didn't really like. For example, I was afraid of horses. And so I dreaded every time I was forced to get on one. I loved the water, but I was humiliated by the daily swimming lessons because I knew how to dive and I knew how to swim, but I had never learned any of the proper strokes. So they relegated me to a summer of lessons using a kickboard, where I fluttered and frog-legged back and forth in shallow water, and during free swims, I was never allowed past my waist. Also, coloring that summer was that I knew something was wrong at home, something wrong between my parents that was always in the back of my mind. But other parts of it were magical. The woods, every meal and at every campfire there was singing. And a quarter mile from shore, there was a tiny, tiny island. I could look out at that island and imagine that it belonged to me. It was much smaller than Alan Lightman's island off the coast of Maine, but it was big enough that twice a summer, a dozen of us with our counselors were allowed to adventure out there in rowboats and spend a night under the stars. Islands are one kind of place of refuge and retreat. For the mother in Yuyi Morales' book, Dreamers, that children's room in the local library was a kind of island, a place where she found safety, where she could learn with her child, and she could discover through books an entry to learning a new language and adventures and stories that she could share, all nourishing her dreams. I think of islands, real islands, islands in books, islands imagined or metaphorical, as places where we can go for refuge, for wonder, for discovering our dreams. And as I mentioned earlier, Alan Lightman is a physicist. His summer home is on an island that in the book he calls Loot Island. He uses it as a setting for musing about the nature of ultimate reality and what, as an older man later in life, faith means to him. He writes, "I'm walking barefoot on my favorite part of the island, the soft shoulder of a hill south of my house, partly shaded by spruce trees, but with the sun leaking through here and there. The ground is covered with a thick green mattress of moss, and when I lie down, it yields to the shape of my body." As Thoreau did in Concord, he writes, "I've traveled far and wide on Loot Island. I know each cedar, each poplar, each clump of beech rose, each patch of blueberry bush and raspberry brambles and woody stems of the hydrangeas, and all the soft mounds of mosses. Early this morning, a fog enveloped the island so completely I felt as if I were in a spaceship afloat in outer space, white space. But the surreal fog, made of minuscule water droplets too tiny to see, eventually evaporated and disappeared. It's all material, even the magical fog, like the bioluminescence I first saw as a child. It's all atoms and molecules. So he muses, arguing with himself. The materiality of the world is a fact, but facts don't explain the experience. Shining seawater, fog, sunset stars, all material and all so grand as the material that we find it hard to accept that it is merely material. Nature tempts us to believe in the supernatural, but then again, nature has also given us big brains, allowing us to build microscopes and telescopes, and ultimately for some of us to conclude that it's all just atoms and molecules. And he concludes, I think a bit lamely, it's a paradox. So next month, we're actually going to explore theology a little bit, and maybe we'll return to Alan Lightman and the debate between materialists and non-materialists, and how that affects thinking about what we believe and what he calls as the struggle between the ultimate and the material, the absolute and the relative. But he's lucky to have a place where he can retreat and wander and wonder and dream, where he finds moments of losing himself in all of the nature and the cosmos, merging with something that at least feels far larger than himself. Do I want to own an island? Live there alone in a bee-loud glade? So I might have told you this once before, but Yeats's imagined cabin was inspired by his reading Henry David Thoreau, because Thoreau talks about his 9 bean rows in his book Walden. And I remember my 5th grade teacher telling us about Henry David Thoreau. That was the year after that summer camp. It was the year after my father had moved out. And I dreamed of living alone in the woods and just getting away from it all. That was many, many years ago. And I no longer believe that islands or solitary refuges are the only places, or even the best places, where dreams are discovered and nourished. And because I was thinking of islands, I of course thought of the poem by Donne, which was written nearly 400 years ago, and which has endured for its beauty and the essential truth it shares, that no man, no one is an island entire of itself, every one a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as any manner of thy friends or of thine own were. Every one of us a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Our daily lives and our dreams intertwine. And so we must be sustained by one another and hold each other when one of us can't go on. I'll end with the words that began our service. We come bound by the threads of a dream of walking together side by side. None of us above or below, less or more or forgotten. A dream of kindness and connection that softens and turns us toward each other with tenderness. A dream of courage and commitment that will enable us to stay the course. May the threads of the dream weave us together and never let us go until its promise is made real. We'll now sing hymn number 18, What Wondrous Love. May you find your island, your refuge, your place of renewal when you need it. And may we all be sustained with thanks unto the end. Go in peace.